Hey guys, how are you? Happy Saturday. I want to jump on here quick. It's probably about 1 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday, June 30th. We were supposed to do this class last night. This is the Patriotic ruffle wreath. It seems like everybody had plans on a Friday night, so I went ahead and said that I was going to do the recorded tutorial. I'm jumping on now during the day. I kind of have a busy afternoon, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this now. I'm going to lay my mesh ruffles on, and then I'm going to pause it, and I have to do a little bit of running around, and then I'll come back and we'll do the ribbons and add the sign and the embellishments. So I'm just getting my work wreath form ready. I do have a work wreath form for this wreath that was sent to me with the kit. There is a kit available if you want to purchase it for this wreath. It is from Shelly B. Home and Holiday, who usually provides us with the kits, and it does come with one of these work wreath forms. You can always certainly make your own. I've posted a link to a YouTube video by Halo Designs, and she pretty much makes hers just like I make mine. Because, you know, honestly, I think I really prefer to make my own lately, because a lot of times when you get these work wreath forms, you know, they're done very quickly in the factory, and sometimes they're not as tight as I would want them. Like this one's a little bit wobbly, so I'm just going to take a zip tie in lieu of doing glue, and I'm just kind of zip tie it a little bit tighter so it doesn't flop around. And sometimes that does work, because I hate it when my pipe cleaners flop around, but I've been making a lot of my own work wreath forms lately because a lot of the suppliers have been out of the work wreath forms. And really the only difference is when you get a work wreath form like this and a regular Dollar Tree form, obviously, is the price. These are probably about $6 or $7 a piece. And of course, the Dollar Tree forms are $1. They're not always that easy to find in the store. So a lot of times what I do and others do is you jump on the website and you can order a case of them for $24. You don't have to order a case though. Most things that you order on the Dollar Tree website, you have to order a case of, but the wreath forms you do not. You can go ahead and order 10, 5, I think you have to order at least 4. But I did order a case of these the last time I placed the order, and I like to be able to control how tightly my pipe cleaners are attached, and if I need, you know, to put them a little bit closer together. So, you know, it's definitely a good thing. And I think what I was starting to say before is that the only difference between, the real difference besides the price, is that with a work wreath form, you can see it's more dome shaped. There's only 3 rings. It's more dome shaped, so your finished wreath is going to be a little bit, well, it's going to be a bit poofier, I guess. It's not going to be as flat. And if you have a wreath where you want to put it in between 2 doors, you're still going to get a full wreath with your Dollar Tree frame. It'll be full this way. It just won't be as poofy this way. But it's, you know, it's still very nice. But anyway, let me go ahead and get these ruffles on, because I do have to run in a little while and run some errands. But I'm just going to put the ruffles on, and then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to pause it and come back, and we're going to do the ribbons. Now, we're using 10-inch mesh for these ruffles. I actually had quite a bit of mesh left over from my garland, and I was thinking about using that, but I'm going to go ahead and use the mesh that came with the kit, so you guys can see how nice it looks if you decide you want to order the kit. This is a 10-inch. I kind of think this is a fabric mesh. It kind of feels like it is. I could not cut it with the wood burning tool, but it's a red and white stripe, and then we have this really pretty natural jute red, white, and blue striped mesh as well. So we're going to use these 2. I cut these in 15-inch lengths. If you have just one color of mesh, cut them into 30 inches, and you're going to need 2 rolls, okay? If you have 3 different colors, say you want to do red, white, and blue, cut them into 10-inch lengths, because what you're going to do is if you have 3, you're going to do 3 of your ruffles per tie. if you have 3 different colors. That's why you're cutting them in 10 inches. So your total ruffle inches, I guess, per tie is going to be 30 inches, and that's going to give you a nice full wreath. So you're just going to want to alternate, like if you took the Patriotic garland class or you watched the video, we alternated. We put maybe a blue on the bottom, we put a red in the middle, and I think we had a white that we put on the top. You're just going to alternate those as far as how you lay them in your ties so that all your ruffles don't look the same. I have 2. I'm going to put 2 of these 15 inches per tie, which gives us 30 inches. If you have 1 color, you're going to want 2 rolls, and you're going to cut those into 30-inch ruffles. So I'm going to go grab my sign because I want to show you the sign I'm going to use. Probably should have had that ready, but I didn't. This is actually a sign that I got from 3 Crafty Millers. It's hand painted. I think I've posted the link a few times in the group, and also it is under the events calendar in this class listing. All hand painted, and it's just the cutest thing. I think they have these trucks for every season as well. Lots of other cute signs. I have this one too. I was contemplating using this one as well. This one I also got from 3 Crafty Millers, and that's really cute. And there's the little 3, it's like kind of a 3D because there's the extra little star on the top. And these signs are really inexpensive. They're only $10 each plus shipping, all hand painted. She does really, really wonderful work. 3 Crafty Millers. I believe it's 3 sisters, so the Miller sisters. Very, very nice work. So this is the sign we're going to be using today. Let's go ahead and get these ruffles on. Again, I'm using 2 different kinds of mesh, so I have 15-inch ruffles. Now, if you're worried about frays, the thing of it is with this poly jute mesh is that it does fray. You can't cut it with the wood burning tool. Your best bet, and it is time consuming, I don't really like to use rotary cutters only because you really can't control your cuts. I've seen wreath makers use a rotary cutter and not have any frays, and I have no idea how they do it. I think it's a camera trick. I have no idea. But I literally take my scissors and cut in between these lines. You see the lines that go up and down? I literally get my scissors and cut in between the lines. It takes me longer, but that's really the only way you're going to ensure fewer frays. So there's a couple of different ways we can ruffle it. If you want to make sure that your cut ends are hidden, you kind of fold the end under like that before you start ruffling. And obviously, if you have lines in your mesh, it makes it a lot easier to ruffle. And then when you get to the other side, you kind of tuck that under as well. So your cut ends are kind of hidden. They're kind of hidden under your ruffle there. And doesn't that make a gorgeous ruffle? This mesh does come with the kit. I just love this. So find anyone on the bottom to start with. The first one I like to lay down parallel to your wreath form. Give it 1 twist or 2. 2 is good because you want to have room to put your other ruffle on. So we can actually keep going and adding 2 now, or I can just go right around, which I think I'm going to do this time. I'm just going to go right around and alternate, and then I'll come back around and put my second ruffle on. So we're going to go to the other color now. This has to be fabric mesh. I forgot to ask Shelly because it sure feels like it. Fabric mesh has a very distinct feel to it. Excuse me, it's very, very soft. So we're going to lay this one down right next to it, and instead of squishing the one down before it, you kind of want to lift it up. So lay this one down again, parallel to your wreath form. 2 twists. We're going to come back up and open it up again anyway to add the second twist. So kind of pull this one up that you laid down before it, so it's not squishing it. See that? Because you want all your ruffles to kind of be pushing each other up. And then just go to your next, go back to your other. Now, if you have 3, you can definitely go ahead and just do all 3 of yours in one ruffle now. You don't have to do it like I'm doing. I'm going around once, then I'm going to come back around again. You can do your 3, and then do another 3, and then do another 3. If you have two, you can do two now. You don't have to do it like I'm doing it, but alternate them. Again, so if you have three, say you put a blue on the bottom, you put a red in the middle, and a white on the top. Go the opposite way. Do white, you know, and then blue, and then red. Do you know what I mean? Just so you have a variety. You don't always have the same color at the top. And you always want to place these. I'm doing a little curl on the end here, hide that cut end. You always want to place these with the ruffle side, and I'm pulling off a few frays here, the ruffle side down. You see how that's, you want it to go down. I know you guys have been seeing my little rail form sitting here, over here for so long for our rail class, our little summer sign there. The welcome sign is another one that doesn't belong there. That's for our welcome summer wreath, but the summer sign down there for our rail form. I don't know if I'm going to be using that one in class. I think I'm going to be using my Life's a Beach one, which is this one. This is a rail form from Wood Ideas by Door. I think I'm going to be using this one instead. So I have to get my mesh cut for that one. Maybe I'll even do both in class, because you don't, you know, it doesn't take a lot of mesh. It's just, you're just putting the mesh along the bottom. So I might even go ahead and just do both in class. Oops, let me fix my camera again. There we go. So again, if you don't want to curl the end under, you can just start ruffling it like that. But I like to kind of fold the end under a little bit and then start ruffling it. Seems like all the other wreath makers are doing fall and Halloween now. I'm not really ready for that yet. I know we did our first class here in the group July 30th of 2017, and it was a Halloween wreath. Excuse me, it was a fall wreath. But I'm not really ready to stop making summer wreaths yet. If you have a business, if you have an Etsy shop, or you sell wreaths on your Facebook page, you know, it now is a good time to start making fall and Halloween, especially if you have larger craft shows in your area and you want to prepare for those. The craft shows in the fall are the most popular by far. I think I'm actually going to be in a couple of them myself this year. We have a couple of big ones in the area. So we're going to start making fall next month. In fact, if you guys go to Deco Exchange's page, he did a live, and he was in the at-home store. And if you've never been in the at-home store, they are amazing. We just had one open up here about a half an hour from me a couple of months ago. I haven't been into it yet, but I've been into the one in Syracuse, which is about an hour away. They have so much cute stuff out now for Halloween and fall. They have signs, decorations, home decor. I really want to start doing some different things in the group as well. I want to start doing more centerpiece type things, and not necessarily swags and, you know, the type of centerpiece that you see on the rail form, the flat ones. I want to start doing, you know, more 3D type things, like get one of those pumpkins, the styrofoam pumpkins, and doing a centerpiece with that, with a bunch of different things, with mesh, and there's just so many ideas you can do. And that's why I ask you guys on occasion to give me ideas. You know, it is the Need to Wreath making group. It's primarily for wreaths, but I'm open to anything. We don't just have to do wreaths and centerpieces and swags and, you know, wreath type things. I'm open to anything, any type of a craft. I know Karen's Craft Room group just did these adorable little sewn pumpkins. That's the problem with me, though, is I'm not really big on sewing. I'm not a good sewer. My mom was a very good seamstress, but not me. So I know we've got some ideas coming up with the tomato cages. We're going to be doing a fall tree. There's also a snowman I'd like to do. We haven't done a snowman yet in the group. If you're new to the group, you probably weren't here last year. We did an angel at Christmas time. And we also did a couple of different Christmas trees. We did a ruffle, one with a ruffle on a tomato cage and one with a poof. You can do either. I'm just going around and I'm alternating my colors. Again, your goal is to have 30 inches of mesh on each tie. So that's why if you have two different kinds, these pieces are going to have to go on the floor because they're making me crazy. I'll clean them up later. And I pick those up by hand because they don't really get picked up on my vacuum cleaner, those long strands. They get stuck. So I'm on my hands and knees after class or a tutorial, and I'm picking these strands up, these long strands. But anyway, again, your goal is to have 30 inches of mesh in each tie. So if you have two different rows, you're going to do two 15-inch pieces. If you have three, you're going to do three 10-inch pieces. And then, of course, if you just have one, like this would be gorgeous by itself. Just 30-inch ruffles just using this because it has all the colors in it. So you would do, you would only need one of those in a 30-inch piece per tie. So I'm going to have left over. If you have 3 rolls, you're definitely going to have some left over. And it works out perfectly because here I am putting this one in here. And you can see that when I get to this piece, we're going to have another one of the red, and then it all works out. It's all even. And then we can go back around and put our second piece in. Or if you want to do both pieces at once, you know, you don't have to do it the way I did it. I like Patriotic wreaths, but you know, it's not really my favorite. That's why I didn't really schedule a lot of them. We did the poof, that one with the 21-inch mesh, and we did the garland. And you know, you don't have to just keep it up for the 4th. You know, this is a wreath that you can keep up all summer. All right, so there I am with my first row and my first pieces of mesh. Now we're just going to go around again and add our second piece. What we're going to do, each time you put another piece on there, whether you're using 2 pieces or 3 pieces, you're going to want to crisscross it. So here's a red. I'm just going to open that tie back up, not all the way. I'm going to keep the one twist in there. But the first one was parallel to the wreath form. This one's going to go across, so it's going to crisscross it. And still don't do too many twists because you want to have enough twist of pipe cleaner left for your ribbon. I don't know why that part seems so much longer to me right there. I don't like that. I don't like that when my ruffle isn't even. Hold on a second here. I don't like when it's longer on one side than the other, so you can kind of take it out quick and just adjust it. No harm, no foul. Better to adjust it before you get your ribbon on, because once you get your ribbon on, you're not going to be able to adjust anything unless you want to take your ribbon off. And who wants to do that? I just like to make sure there's enough mesh, equal amounts of mesh on both sides. Okay. So now I'm going to get a red piece and go on top of this one, crisscross. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm actually just, now I'm putting the opposite. So if I had a red on the bottom, I'd put the jute on the top, the jute on the bottom, the red on the top. I'm actually going to pause this quick and finish my outer ring, and then we'll come back and we'll do the inner ring. Okay, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and start on the inside. Actually, I already laid down one piece here. I laid down one of the red pieces across on the inside tie. Those are all the pieces on the outside, and I really like the way those meshes look together. So I'm just going to go around and, like I did on the outside, and just add my one ruffle to each tie, and then go back and add the second one. Again, parallel to the wreath form for your first piece. And lift it up against the one before it, so they're not, so it's not squishing it. That's the point of a ruffle wreath, is you want the ruffles to be fluffed up. I actually saw a really cool thing somebody did the other day with 21-inch mesh, and I really want to try it. I'm always looking for new things to do with 21-inch mesh, and if you're like me, I'm not a real big fan of the poof method for a couple of reasons, because first of all, I feel like it doesn't really cover my wreath form sufficiently enough. I feel like you always have to add, additional ruffles or curls to kind of fill it out. If you have a lighter colored mesh, you always have the worry or the concern that you're going to have your wreath form showing through. And it's, but saw somebody the other day, and they made a wreath with 21-inch mesh, and what they did with it, I don't want to give it away, you may have already seen it, but I really want to do a class on it. They did a wreath entirely out of poofs with the 21-inch mesh, and they did not have to add any additional ruffles or curls. It really covered the wreath nicely. It was very full. And I do have another one that I've done. I've done the one with the 21-inch mesh where you cut it into 10-inch pieces and you have a ruffle on one side and a poof on the other. This is different. It's not that one. You're going to make your poofs like you normally do, 10-inch poofs. You're not going to cut it though, but there's just something that you do that just makes your wreath a lot fuller. You don't have to add any additional spirals or curls in between, or ruffles, in between, which is pretty though too. I did my seahorse on my beach wreath like that. I did poofs, and then I did added ruffles. And it's still a gorgeous wreath, but so we're going to talk about that. I'm going to do a post in the group. I think I'm going to try it first, because I have, probably like everyone else, way too much 21-inch mesh. And I think I'm going to try it. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like, just the base, before any ribbons are added. So you can see how pretty it is. And then we'll go ahead and we'll schedule a class, because I think you guys are really going to like it. My daughter's going to be calling me in about 2 seconds here to pick me up, so I don't need to be rushing, but weekends are pretty busy in my house here. Always got running around to do. And my poor son is not feeling well this morning. He went out with his cousin and his friends and does not really drink. He's not a big drinker, and he got home at 1:30 in the morning, and my nephew had to bring him home, his cousin, and he's not feeling too good today. So I remember those days. That's why I don't drink that much anymore, because he's kind of sick now and his Saturday is ruined. So, but in all fairness, he does not do that very often at all. If you knew I was telling you, he'd probably kill me. He's a good kid. Look how pretty that is. I just love those colors together. Last tie on the inside for the bottom row of ruffles. You can see how fast that is. Lay your ruffle down first and tie it in, and then go ahead and fix it so you're not squishing any of your other ruffles. Don't try to do that as you're tying it in. I could actually even stop there with just one row of ruffles on the inside, because that's really nice and full. But I'm not gonna. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna add my second row, because I have the mesh and I don't like to have waste. I like to have extra rolls of a quarter or a half a roll of mesh hanging around. And then we're just going to crisscross it again. Just a couple of twists, like I said, because you want to make sure you have enough of your pipe cleaner left for your ribbon. You know what I was going to say too, another thing that I like about the work wreath forms is these ties. These ties are nice and fuzzy. You don't really necessarily have to worry about hiding them after you put your mesh on, because a lot of times if you have the same color, which is really what you want to do, you want your color of your tie to match your mesh, you can just leave it. But Craft Outlet actually has those fuzzy ties like that. You can buy just buy the ties themselves, the pipe cleaners, and they look just like the ones that you get on the work wreath form, and you can add them yourself instead of using the little thin ones. You know, there's nothing wrong with those either. You can see that it might get a little bit frustrating for you when you're in the middle here and you've got all this mesh because it kind of wants to stick to each other, but once it's in there, don't pull at it a lot, because then you're going to end up giving yourself more frays. Just make sure those cut ends are kind of tucked in and out of the way. I don't really have frays to speak of. I just have like an extra piece coming off here or there. It's not too bad at all. It's going to be a hot one this weekend. 95, I think, today, but then 98 tomorrow and Monday. Well, I'm in upstate New York. I'm about 2 hours west of Albany. So I would love to have a pool right now. I'll be living near the water. We're pretty fortunate in New York State, though. It doesn't take us that long to get to water. We have a little lake that's probably about 15 minutes outside of Rome. I actually live in Rome. We also have, we can go an hour and a half north and be at Lake Ontario, which if you've never been at Lake Ontario on the border of the US and Canada, it is like the ocean because it is gigantic. We can go down 5 hours and be at the Atlantic Ocean by New York City, or we could go into Massachusetts and get to the Atlantic Ocean that way, which is probably about a 6-hour drive, 6-7 hours. So, you know, as New Yorkers, we're pretty fortunate, you know. I always say we could be stuck in the middle of Kansas, you know, where you're nowhere near any ocean or anything. Not to say anything bad about Kansas. That is where Dorothy was. Let's see where I am here. I don't want to get lost. It's easy to get lost in all these ruffles. Lost in Ruffles. That's a good name for a wreath business. I can only have a couple more to do anyway here. And it's almost, it's 1:30. It's not too bad. It took us probably about a half hour to do this, even though the video was probably shorter because I stopped it. Actually, I think I may be done. Hold on, let me make sure. Nope, I got one more here. I'm going to have a little bit of mesh left over. If you wanted to make the most use of your 2 rolls, if you are using 2 like me, you could even make them a little bit bigger. Now, if you want to do the math, you could get, ideally, 18 20-inch pieces of mesh out of a roll of 10-inch mesh, because there's 360 inches of mesh in a roll. It's 30 feet. Okay, you divide that by 18 and you get 20, which if you cut them at 20 inches, you'll get 18 pieces, which is exactly what you need. However, problem with that is there's going to be a little bit of waste when you're cutting. So unless you can do exact cuts, which I don't know anybody that can, you're not going to have enough. You're going to end up short. Or you're going to have 1 or 2 pieces that aren't going to be 20 inches. Let's put it that way. All right, we're done here. So I would actually, if you want to make the most of your mesh and not really have much left over, I would even do maybe 18 or 19-inch cuts. 18 to be safe. That way you may not have, and you could definitely get away with that. You could do 2 18-inch pieces per tie. I've done that before. All right. I'm going to stop for a little while here, even though you guys really won't realize that I'm stopped because I'm just pausing the video. And I'm going to come back and do my ribbon after I do my errands here. This piece seems to be sticking out a little bit farther, and it's bothering me. I'm just going to pull it in a little bit, undo the tie. And just kind of pull it in a little. Yeah. Even though once we get our ribbon out, we're not really going to be able to tell that it's sticking out more. And it is still sticking out more. I don't know why it's doing that. Hold on a minute. I'm taking this one out because I'm just crazy that way. Let's do this one over again. I'm going to do it this way just because I don't want it sticking out so far. There. That's a little better. Okay. So here we have our finished base. This is your base. We've got 2 15-inch pieces of mesh in each pipe cleaner. There's 18 pipe cleaners or ties, you can call them either. Someone refers to as a tie, that's all it is a pipe cleaner. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to stop the video. I think I'm going to stop, but I'm not going to pause it. But so you're going to have a couple of different sections of this class. There's going to be part 1 and part 2. But I will be back and we'll get the ribbon on and we'll add some sign and embellishments and we'll finish up this patriotic wreath. See you guys in a bit. Thank you.